Therapy Center. It provides a unique form of radiation treatment for cancer patients, and it recently saw its 100th patient graduate from treatment. Its one-year anniversary at the Oklahoma City location is near, and Dr. Samir Kioli is the medical director of the ProCure Proton Therapy Center. That's a big name there.
I guess so.
All right, well, Dr. Kioli, tell us, what is proton therapy and how is that different from other types of therapy for cancer?
Sure. It's a complex answer, but I always try to simplify it by saying, think of regular x-rays as being like a bullet. They'll damage, the regular x-rays, or sometimes it's called IMRT, will damage the cancer, but it'll also damage the tissues both before and after, in other words, the healthy tissue. Protons are more like a firecracker. It's almost like they have a depth charge. You can deposit the protons in the cancer. They'll damage the cancer, but there'll be very little damage to the collateral tissues. For instance, a pediatric patient that I will treat, we can decrease the heart dose if we're treating the spine by 99%.
Oh, wow. And so who is a candidate for proton therapy treatment?
Well, broadly speaking, we say anybody where the anatomy is fixed or we can account for the motion. To give you an example who we've treated so far, we've treated lots of pediatric patients, lots of brain tumor patients, lots of patients with prostate cancer, a lot of patients with different GI cancers, whether it be esophagus or liver or colon, rectal, or anal canal. And so we always recommend that just come and see one of the doctors. We have all the equipment necessary to treat any variety of cancer, whether it be protons or x-rays.
Okay, and why is ProCure unique to Oklahoma?
Well, I think there's less than 30 proton centers in the world. There's only 7 in the country, and to have one in the state of Oklahoma is remarkable. If you think about it, we've treated not just patients from Oklahoma City and Edmond and Moore and Norman, but we've also treated patients from New York and Massachusetts and Georgia and California and Texas and as far away as India. So it's not just it's an amazing local resource, but it's also a worldwide resource, and we're fortunate to have it here within driving distance.
Yeah, here in our city. And there are some milestones that we were talking about at ProCure. What are those?
Well, there's several. I think we certainly were the first, the center to open up the earliest after construction. We started seeing patients last July 1st. We now recently, as you mentioned, completed our treatment of our 100th patient. And we're just exploding in terms of volume. We're probably the first, we're treating over 50 patients a day, probably the first proton center to ever do that in its first year of treatment. So It's really going well.
That's very good. All right, congratulations on that, and thank you for being here with us, Dr. Kioli.
Thank you for having me.
And if you would like to find out more about ProCure Proton Therapy, you can go to news9.com/links.